Exiles, check out this bonk. Lexu here with my first Path of Exile 2 video. I started playing the early access release with the Lightning Sorcerer, starting with Spark, then Arc, then Ball Lightning with Lightning Warp, and finally added Lightning Conduit for my current build. So far I've reached level 73 with some early mapping, and I wanted to show you my results with the Lightning Conduit Stormweaver. Keep in mind that I only have 3 Link skill gems right now and haven't gotten my 3rd or 4th ascendancies. Lightning Conduit deals massive hits that excel at both clearing maps and killing bosses. A triggered Lightning Conduit deletes entire packs of enemies with ease to clear maps, and a manually casted Lightning Conduit enables the huge one-hit damage against bosses. Let's cover my progress so far for the Lightning Conduit Stormweaver. Lightning Conduit doesn't seem that impressive when you first look at the base damage. The 100% more damage per 5 shock effect on an enemy is what allows this skill to scale to massive numbers. The manually casted Lightning Conduit can be supported with Hourglass because it isn't used all the time. It's also supported by Super Critical for massive crits, and Concentrated Effect for more area damage. The most reliable way of applying shock is through Lightning Warp, which creates shock ground. Lightning Warp normally can't be cast on enemies until their life is low enough to be called, but it can be cast on ball lightning projectiles at any time. Lightning Warp is supported by Soul Drain for additional mana recovery, Magnified Effect for more area of effect, and Overcharge for 75% increased magnitude of shocks, which applies to the shock ground created. Ball Lightning is used as a utility for Lightning Warp to be cast on, so it's supported by Unleash and Scattershot for additional projectiles, and Mobility for extra movement. My build uses Hypothermia instead of Conduction for a curse because Call of the Brotherhood is converting all lightning damage to cold damage. Hypothermia is supported by Heightened Curse and Focus Curse. Another skill used for damage increase is Mana Tempest, supported by Premonition and Arcane Temple. The final skill used as a damage increase is Sigil of Power, which requires you to have a Chiming Staff in either of your weapon sets. Sigil of Power is supported by Ingenuity and Persistence. Since Lightning Conduit has a 2-second total cast time, a second skill gem is used in the cast on freeze setup. Call of the Brotherhood allows Lightning Warp to deal cold damage so we can activate the freeze. Considered Casting is used for 25% more damage without worrying about the cast speed. I'm not concerned about these Lightning Conduits critting, so it's supported by Controlled Destruction. This skill setup is your main source of damage when clearing maps, and instantly deletes packs of enemies with a freeze from 1 or 2 casts of Lightning Warp. Elemental Invocation is a second optional buff which you'll only be able to use if you have some extra spirit from a rare amulet or body armor. This is your old ship button and can be activated on demand in emergencies when you're surrounded to cast Comet. Just like Cast on Freeze, Elemental Invocation rapidly generates energy. Capacitor increases the maximum energy to allow for 5 comets at once, and Spell Echo doubles that to 10. Use Elemental Invocation when you're in trouble, or for some extra DPS against bosses or tough elites. The Lightning Conduit on Cast on Freeze will handle all your enemies while you're mapping, but bosses are much harder to freeze, which is why we also have the manually casted Lightning Conduit. I use a weapon swapping tech for additional damage against bosses. The manually casted Lightning Conduit is set to be used in my second weapon set. Archmage provides a huge amount of damage when mana stacking. The extra mana cost is too much to handle while mapping, but is perfect for killing bosses. Archmage is set to weapon slot 2 to activate when using Lightning Conduit. Casting Lightning Conduit will automatically swap your weapon, and automatically activate Archmage. Ball Lightning and Lightning Warp are set to weapon set 1. And casting them will automatically deactivate Archmage and reactivate Cast on Freeze and Elemental Invocation. If you have some extra spirit remaining, Archmage can be supported by Clarity. So when I'm clearing maps, Ball Lightning and Lightning Warp will automatically activate Cast on Freeze and Elemental Invocation. Then when I need to finish off an elite or fight a boss, I cast Lightning Conduit and automatically gain Archmage. Of course, to use this weapon swap tech, you'll need 2 sets of weapons. I'm using 2 staves, but a wand and focus setup can be just as viable. Your first weapon set can be focused on spell damage, cold damage, lightning spell skills, and cast speed, while your second weapon set can also include maximum mana to scale Archmage, and crit damage for the manually casted lightning conduit. My current gear isn't amazing, but it follows the same stat priority to scale damage. I started leveling with Arcane Surge and then Force of Will for my Ascendancy points, but switched the points for Force of Will to gain Strike twice instead. 2 shocks can be applied to an enemy by 2 overlapping shock ground effects. Once I get my 3rd Ascendancy done, I'll pick up Force of Will again. The start of the passive tree is pretty self-explanatory, with Raw Power, Open Mind for mana regeneration, Practice Signs for cast speed, Path of Winter for cold damage and freeze buildup. Remember, we're not using Path of Storms because we converted the lightning damage to cold damage. Adverse Growth to recoup some mana. Touch the Arcane for an Arcane Surge effect. Breaking Point has 30% increased magnitude of non-damaging ailments, which includes shock. All Natural has some all-res and elemental damage. Eldritch Battery converts all the energy shield affixes I have on gear to mana. Aim to get at least 2000 maximum mana with Eldritch Battery, and then Mind Over Matter uses that mana pool to protect your life. Maximum mana gained in your passive skill tree and on your gear increases your offense and your defense. Arcane Intensity further increases your damage gained from mana. Etherflow provides some more mana regeneration. Alternating Current provides more magnitude of shock, as does Unbound Forces. Additional mana regeneration and reduced mana cost of skills is useful from conservative casting. And Mental Toughness. Unbound Forces has more magnitude of shock. Briny Carapace is extremely beneficial for survivability. You've probably been stun locked before when being surrounded by multiple enemies. This stacking stun threshold will allow you to eventually be able to cast your spells so you can escape. From here, I split my skill points between the 2 weapon sets. For the first weapon set, I obtained Dynamism for increased energy gains. This is an energy breakpoint needed to activate Lightning Conduit on Eerie Freeze. The first weapon set also gains Roy for increased area of effect, useful for clearing maps. The second weapon set focuses on gaining critical strike chance and bonus by obtaining For the Jugular, True Strike, and First Approach. These 3 nodes provide 160 increased critical strike bonus against enemies that are on full life, and are only used against bosses for that one-shot potential. I still have a long way to go with evolving the Lightning Conduit Stormweaver Sorceress build, so don't forget to subscribe to my channel for the upcoming updates. Until next time, peace out and happy slaying.